Test 1 2 1 2. Let me see something. God. All right, we good on the live. Yeah, I wasn't able to play the music, but it's no sweat. We'll get right into it. I already got a water. I'm too wild. The water. All right, let's clap it up. Most High in Christ. Hey, Shalom. Yahweh Shem Yahweh Barak Thumb to all the brothers. Yahweh Shemar Alathun Bashem Yahweh to all the sisters. It's the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. This is the Friday night Lashawan Qadash class, the Hebrew class in Durham, North Carolina. Priest and officer of 1,000 Thabawon holding it down. First of all, just, you know what I'm saying, the water to my bro, to my guy, Officer 500 Yanazar, who, you know what I'm saying, held the class down for me. Excellent brother. The water last week. I was out of town. I was out in D.C. Brother held me down. So appreciate that, bro. Of course, did an excellent job and completed what we had already gone in on so well. You know what I'm saying? Went in on what we talked about last week, which was the standards of 12 tribes. All right. So we're gonna get into some new stuff today. Rehash some things, get some basics down as usual, review. Of course, this is the where's my eraser? Hey, Salakianos, you know what the erasers are?
They were right up there.
No sweat. Come, Bob, shot out the water. Come, what's on Christ? All right. Okay, so, like I said, we were talking about the standards of the 12 tribes. Each tribe has a symbol or a signet that represents them, a standard, you know, which is just a item or something in existence. You know what I'm saying? Something, some object that represents their characteristics in some way, shape, or form. Okay. And we ran them all down for each one, and also ran down the Hebrew of each one. We ran down the Hebrew of each one from, you know what I'm saying, Naphtali, Benjamin. So I guess you had to erase Judah, right? It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, you had to erase Judah. No sweat. We'll get it. I think I might leave this so we can actually use this to learn about writing out the Hebrew, because we didn't do that yet with these. Okay, but that's what we talked about. But let me use this space. So I'm gonna erase these scriptures. Okay, so these are the scriptures. If you want to take a picture of it real quick, these scriptures will show you where you can find these standards, and something of the breakdowns. You'll get the breakdowns for why these particular items represent these tribes. Okay, so these are the scriptures you will go to find that. Bear with me just a moment. Okay. So I'm just gonna erase the Dawadah right here. We're gonna break down Lashawan. You know what we always do. Okay. Salakia, bear with me. All right. And Yanazar, if you could, Baba Kusha, get me Deuteronomy 7 and 6. We're gonna start there with the scripture first, and then we're gonna get to one more scripture before we go into today's whole lesson, right? So
this is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse 6.
Now, the reason why I want to read this, is because I want to make a very firm distinction, and understanding why it's so important, this Hebrew, for these blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Why is it so important for us to learn this language that was no longer spoken for many years, right? It really hasn't been restored. You understand? Because of course modern Hebrew is not real Hebrew. But it was essentially a dead language, right, Yanazar? Right, essentially a dead language. So why are we learning this dead language? What is the purpose of us sitting up here in this class? We're in 2022. Why would we want to learn some language that died thousands of years ago? Go ahead, Yanazar.
If I may, sir. The Lashawan Qadash, like a nation's language, is their mode of communication.
There we go.
Their mode of expression. So in order for us being a holy people, a separate, set-apart people, then we should have a holy, set-apart language that expresses how we want to express.
Damn right. Damn right. Give him a hand. Damn right. That's a fact. The language, the culture of the people is engraved in the language. Knowing how the people talk tells you something about who they are, okay? Tells you something about their culture, how they interact with each other, what's important to them, you know what I'm saying, what customs they have and things of that nature, right? And as blacks, Hispanics, and blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Indians, we often lament the fact that we don't have a culture. Like, why is it, like, what do we have before slavery? You know, we just, as far as we know, it's just slavery. We was in Africa, then slavery, and then Martin Luther King. Somehow now we're here. You understand what I'm saying? And so, got him. Did. Now, what we're about to read, is about why this matters to us. So read that, Yanazar.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse 6.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Salakia. I'm on the wrong page. For thou art an holy people.
Simple. Strong and simple. Because we're a what people?
An holy people.
Thou art an holy people. Now that goes back to this concept here. When you hear me say, or hear my brother say, Lashawan Qadash, right? We break it down all the time, but it's never too late. It's always good. It's important to talk about. You see it here too, right? So this phrase, Lashawan Salakia, Lashawan Qadash, right? If we write it out in the ancient, it's like this: La Sha One, right? La Sha One. I'm writing, well, let me do it this way so you understand that, driven from right to left. Qadash. All right. Lashawan Qadash. Read the scripture again.
For thou art an holy people.
Now, the word holy means what? Yanazar, I know you know. What does the word holy mean? What do you think it means? What are we even taught it means to be holy? You got guesses? No sweat. Well, when I was coming up, you know what I'm saying, I wasn't heavy in the Christian church, but just for my short encounters with the Christian church, holy seemed to be, it was like if a person got up in front of the church and hit a note, like some amazing note, they would sing the song and they hit that note, and that note just carried and just captivated us all. That was a holy thing in my mind. You understand? Or anything in the Bible where it was some unfathomable miracle. Here's an example. The fact that Christ was born of a woman who didn't have sex. The fact that Mary gave birth to someone and no sex was involved. That, in my mind, was a holy thing. That's what holy was. It was like amazing, like a miracle. Like, oh my God, what is happening? Right? But what I found out when I came into the Isupk, when I came into the truth, that is not what holy means. Okay, Giannis, you got a Zondervan? Let's get the definition of holy or holiness in the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. Of course, this is a great tool to have. Understand, like in the Isupk, we don't just talk. You know what I'm saying? We actually go to the source. We get the different materials, the references, and so we can break down this Bible adequately. So let's get the definition of holy.
Holiness usually translates words derived from a Hebrew root meaning separate.
Meaning what?
Separateness.
Right.
Withdrawal. Set apart.
Right. A Hebrew root meaning separateness, withdrawal, set apart. What Hebrew root is that? Qadash, right? That's this word right here. Qadash, right? This word means holy, which means set apart. You understand? Think of it like something, like if you have something special, like if you got a bunch of different shoes, right? But then you have a special pair of shoes, you know, that you might have some kind of sentimental value to you. They're special to you. So instead of just piling them with the rest of the shoes, you put them in their own special case. You separate them from everything else. That's what the word Qadash means. Okay. Now, in here we have the Qadash part. Remember, in Hebrew it goes from right to, we write it from right to left. Okay. But the phrase is Lashawan Qadash. What does Lashawan mean? Okay, let's see if we can work backwards. The root of this word, Lashawan, right? Lashawan is this word. Lashun. Lashun essentially translates to tongue. Right? So this word comes from this word, Lashun. Now we know in Hebrew, when you add the wa to the middle of a word like this, from Lashun to Lashawan, what it is it turns this item or this thing into the action form of it, or the thing that you do with this, right? Now, what do we use our tongues to do? Maybe that'll help you think of it. What do we use our tongues to do? Give her a hand. We use our tongues to speak, right? We always, as I always say, we can say that confidently because we know that whenever they want to torture you, whenever in ancient history, when they wanted to prevent you from speaking, they threatened to do what? To cut out your tongue. Because your tongue has always been associated with speaking. You can't speak without a tongue. So that's what Lashawan means. Lashawan, basically, the best way to put it means is like language, right? But it's still, because in old Quaker English, if you read the Bible, you'll see someone say, he spoke the tongue of this nation, or they spoke in tongues. We know that speaking in tongues does not mean whatever babble your grandmother does. Hashkala bashkala, my favorite word. It doesn't mean hashkala bashkala or whatever your aunties babble in Christian churches. That is not what tongues mean. Tongues just means what? Based on what we're learning here, what does tongues mean? Right, but on point, this is what tongue is, right? And it's the holy tongue, which is another way of saying holy. There we go. So in the Bible, when we see someone speaking tongues, it just means they're speaking certain languages. Okay, it does not mean they're just babbling, because you can't translate that. You understand? And that would have no purpose. There's a scripture that literally says that. If somebody was to speak in tongues and no one can understand them, there's no purpose to that. That's in the Bible. Please.
You know, because I went over this with my sister.
God.
Because she had told me that, you know, in her church, like they would kind of like put her down because she wasn't able to speak in tongues.
Oh boy.
So I was doing a breakdown for her. You know, and I was trying to let her know that it's just for edifying the person that's doing it. That's according to the scriptures in Corinthians. I think it's Corinthians 14. It says that the person who speaks in an unknown tongue, right, edifies himself.
Exactly.
Meaning that he's doing it just for himself, to make himself look like he's big.
Just for himself. It's just like, you know who does that? Blackity black Egyptologists do that kind of stuff. Any of those people who want to talk about, they read the Metu Netta and they read the hieroglyph and they all of this crap. What is that going to do for anybody? Who is that going to help? How is knowing how to read the Book of the Dead or something like that going to help some brother who's strung out on crack cocaine? You understand? Even in the Isupk, we deal with the Hebrew so we can understand the Bible better. But Yanazar, do we go to camp and just say Shalom, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Barakatah, Naptalia, Banyam Yingara? No, we go and speak English because that's what our brothers and sisters who are strung out on drugs speak. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to edify the people. Go ahead, Yanazar.
If I may, sir. It says like when you prophesy, you have to prophesy to lift up the people. That's the whole purpose of it. So how are you going to lift up the people if they don't understand what you're saying?
It makes no sense. It makes no sense, right? Damn right. So our language, we'll say that this means tongue, again, in the old Quaker English way, or language. So think of it as the holy language, the holy tongue. Okay? That's what that phrase means. Now, Yanazar, read that scripture again. Now let's get down to the nitty-gritty of it. Now that we know what this language is, this is Hebrew. Hebrew is the Lashawan Qadash. It is the holy language. You understand? I'm not going to go to it, but in the book of 1 Corinthians, Paul refers to it as what? As the tongue of angels. Right? He separates it from the tongues of men that people speak and says that Hebrew is the tongue that the angels speak. Go ahead.
For thou art an holy people.
For thou art what?
An holy people.
So if we're a holy people, a Qadash people, a set apart people, if we're a set apart culture, a set apart race, then we must also have what? A set apart language that goes right along with it. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, brother.
For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee.
He did what?
Chosen thee.
He chose us. He chose us. So don't tell me anything about what's going on in this world, and don't tell me that I should feel bad about being an Israelite. You understand? Don't tell me that I should feel bad about the fact that God chose me, because you know who doesn't feel bad about it? Someone read my mind. Who believes that God chose them and don't feel bad about it? Go ahead.
The so-called Jewish man.
And does anybody give them a problem about it? Does anybody tell them that they're racist because they think that they're God's chosen people?
Sir. Because if I may,
go ahead, please.
Because with them being the chosen, it upholds Christianity and white supremacy.
Right. Damn right. That's exactly what it is. That upholds white supremacy. Go do your research and look up how many slave owners were Jewish. Look it up. Yeah, they financed the whole slave trade. Go look up how many of them were in the Confederate Army. Go look that up. You understand? They financed the whole thing, and everyone loves them. America's in bed with Israel, you know. So it doesn't surprise you. But as soon as a black man, better yet known as a N-word, I won't say it here, but the Bible said that the prophets in the New Testament, they called them what? Niger, which is the same place where we get the word that we now know as the N-word, right? They would call that as a derogatory term. Not because are we the only people on the earth with dark skin? No, you got people with dark skin in Cambodia and Laos, but no one calls them the N-word. Why? Go ahead,
even in China, I was watching a Little League World Series, right? And the Taiwan team has these two little black Chinese dudes, man, on the team.
Now, granted, it's possible because we was a lot of brothers were in that region due to being in Korea, being in Vietnam, A lot of brothers was over there messing with the Moabites and messing with them Ammonites and made babies with them. So definitely there's some of us over there who are dark-skinned because they're actually Judites. You know what I'm saying? And Benjamites and things like that. But some of them are just dark-skinned because, as we know when the Bible tells us, all the nations were dark-skinned. At one point, there's only one nation on earth that doesn't have a dark-skinned imprint on earth. And that's Edom. That's Esau. That's the only one. But every other nation, they got a dark version of them. There's some dark Chinese people. There's some dark Japanese people. There's some dark Samoans and some dark, all of the other things on the earth except Esau, because he has the mark of Cain. Okay. But what was I getting to? We was reading about this being separate thing. Yeah, the so-called Jewish man will tell you straight up, we're God's chosen people and we're better than everybody. And people will just say, oh, yes, it's your freedom of religion. But not you, black man. Not you, Latino man, and Native Indian man and woman. No. You can't say that. That's an affront to the nature of America to think that a nigga could be better than anybody. You understand? That's all it's about. You understand? But we're not going to be afraid of saying it because the Bible said it. Read it again, Yanazar.
For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God.
Right.
The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people.
What?
A special people.
Right. Read.
Unto himself.
No,
Above all.
You know I'm going with that, right? It says what, brother, in the Bible?
Above.
Equal to.
Above.
We all the same.
Above.
All cultures are the same.
Above.
Go ahead.
All people.
Lashawan Qadash is better than every other language on earth. Black people are better than everybody. Latinos are better than everybody. Native Indians are better than everybody. Everything we do is better than everybody. We play basketball better than everybody. We play every sport better than everybody. The only reason why we don't do curling and things like that better is because we don't play those sports. But the minute black people get a chance or are in a position to even want to play those sports, we dominate.
And if I may.
Go ahead.
Hey, we started the first hockey league.
We started the first hockey league in Canada. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
Started the first hockey league, and I'm sure them bros was killing. You understand? The NBA used to be a league full of oppressors, but then there was some right with a set shot. They was dribbling like this, you know what I'm saying, and grabbing the ball with one hand and all of this. But then there was some back then they called us darkies and things like that, who was doing magical things with the basketball. And when we got into the league, that's when everything took off. You understand? George Mikan did not hold a candle to no Wilt Chamberlain. Okay? Now, that's why we're a holy people, man. It ain't just about sports, everything we do. Shoot, didn't they send the three sisters sent them to the moon? Am I correct? They wouldn't have got to the moon if they made the movie on them, Hidden Figures. Right? Like, that's how the devil uses our talents for everything. We made this country great. We built it up from the ground up. You know what I'm saying? A black man was instrumental in mapping out Washington, D.C. These are the facts. Look them up. Simple. Go ahead.
Jerome Hyman put out a statistic. He said that between 45 and 48% of the patents in America were created by black people.
Mm-hmm. And most of them, if not all of them, stolen.
Yeah, they didn't get credit.
They didn't get credit for them. No. They didn't, because a black man was not a citizen, so he couldn't. Somebody actually went to a famous court case on that.
First automobile made in America was made by a black company in Ohio.
Wow. I mean, we've seen it so many times, right? We've seen it so many times. Everybody talk about Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison was an idiot. Look it up. Thomas Edison wasn't that smart. Even Tesla was smarter than him. Thomas Edison wasn't no amazing engineer of a person. He was just a businessman. He was a great businessman, right? But it was through the working off the backs of men like Lewis Latimer is how he got great, okay? But yeah, drop that. Is there any more in Deuteronomy 7:6? Finish that one out. Yeah. Uh-huh. Is the mic on? Battery dying?
Testing.
There you go.
Okay, the water, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
If it dies again, you good. Right. Okay. Above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Read on.
That's it on verse 7, sir.
That's it. Most High in Christ, right? Read verse 6.
Come.
Most High in Christ, right?
I mean, verse 6, yeah, concept.
Now drop that and give me the one I want in the prologue. Okay. These are two scriptures I love to start out on. There's many more. But I like to start on these just for the purpose of explaining the importance of this class. Right? We're gonna run through it real fast and then get right into this.
I got it, sir.
Go ahead.
Okay, this is the prologue to the book of Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha.
Right.
This is about what I would call maybe the fourth paragraph or fifth paragraph. Okay. And it reads.
And the Apocrypha is what?
14 books that were taken out of the Bible by the Catholic Church in 1692.
In other words, it's what?
It's part of the Bible.
It's a part of the Bible. It's part of the Bible. If anybody tells you or tries to tell you, oh, what book is that? This is the Bible. So I always tell my brothers when you're at camp or just whenever you have a class or something, or sisters too, just never, don't word it like it's something separate from the Bible. It is the Bible. The only reason it's called the Apocrypha is because it was taken out. But if you literally get, Officer Maya Shah has one, and a lot of brothers do, you can still get a 1611 King James Bible with the Apocrypha in it. Because in 1611, when that book was published, the Apocrypha was in it. Okay? Go ahead, Yanazar.
I'm a concert.
What does Apocrypha mean?
Hidden books or hidden things.
The water.
Wherefore, let me entreat you to read it with favor and attention, and to pardon us wherein we may seem to come short of some words which we have labored to interpret. For the same things uttered in Hebrew.
This is the key right here. This is the kicker. I love the way this is worded, man. Every time I hear it, I get chills. Read that part, Yanazar. It says what?
For the same things uttered in Hebrew.
For the same things uttered in Hebrew. Meaning, now we won't go into too much detail on it at the moment. Meaning, the meaning is the same, right? We've had conversations in this class where we break down the difference between what a translation and a transliteration. Those are two different grammatical devices used to transfer from one language to another. One is to transfer sound, right? The other is to transfer meaning. Which one is which? You might know.
Say it again.
Between transliteration and translation, one is to transfer meaning from one language to another. The other is to translate sound from one language to another.
Transliteration is the transfer of sound.
There we go. And translation is?
Transfer of meaning.
The transfer of meaning. Meaning, so one is X in one language equals X in another language. These two, this word means car. This is how you say car in this language. The other is Y equals Y. It has nothing to do with meaning, but in order to make the blank sound in this language, you use the blank symbol in this language. Okay? So an example, if we were to use Hebrew, an example of that would be, I'm gonna use a very easy one, but I might confuse you. We'll use the na, right? So to say in, or the in consonant in English, this is the capital N, or you write a lowercase n, right? In Hebrew, it is the na. The na, that's in ancient, and then we also have the na in Assyrian. There's two forms of it. There's one that counts like a 3, right? All of these are the na. This is how you get the consonantal sound n, na, in Hebrew. But this is the transliteration here. Na is a transliteration to get this sound. Everything you see, this is a transliteration. Goral, to say the word dice, right? That's how you say dice in Hebrew, goral. It's a transliteration of, Salakia, of the Hebrew word. We'll write it in ancient first. Ga. Let's go. All right, I always mix it up. Ka. Ga. Raw. Ga. Raw. In ancient Hebrew, this is how you say Garol. You would literally, if you read in an ancient scroll and you come across this collection of symbols, you would sound it out and you would pronounce it Garol. Well, now, what if I want to learn how to speak this language or say something in this language, but I didn't grow up learning this? I don't know what this is. So now I'm going to find the corresponding symbols to make this sound in another language. And that would be this. We're going to take this and turn it into ga. Take this and turn it into ra. Take this and turn it into la, right? Which I'm kind of skipping ahead a little bit. And this is going to tell me, I know that this connector tells me that, no, this has to be one syllable, not ra la. That's two syllables. It has to be one syllable. So I'm going to get rid of that and make it raw for raw. But that is the transference of sound. Okay? That's how that works. Read that part again.
For the same things uttered in Hebrew.
The same things, meaning it's the same, it's an attempt to get the same meaning across. Go ahead.
And translated into another tongue.
So we just said that, right? So now it's backing up what we just said. It's trying to get the same meaning across, and it's translated into another tongue. Go ahead.
Have not the same force in them.
Have not the same force in them. They don't have the same force. Now, give me an example, or tell me how is that possible? If the whole point is to say the same thing, it's the same thing uttered in Hebrew, how could it not have the same force? How's that possible?
I'll give you examples.
Go ahead, Yanazor, please.
Yahweh, Yahweh.
That's really good. That's more transliteration, though. That's not quite translation.
Oh, okay.
Because that's not meaning. Yahuwah, which is fake Hebrew nonsense, right? That person doesn't exist. Yahuwah, I don't know what that is, right? But Yahuwah is someone's false way of transliterating the original Hebrew. So that's their pronunciation, but not a change in meaning. Okay? But right now we're talking about, you have something, sis? Yahuwah, Yeshiva, whatever you want to call them. Whatever. Meanwhile, you can say what you want to say. I don't want to take too much time on it. Say what you want to say, but you cannot argue if you ask any scholar, if you go into any book to learn about the Tetragrammaton, this is what they will tell you is the transliteration of the Tetragrammaton. It will look like this. It'll be a big Y, it'll be a big H, it'll be a big W, and it'll be another big H. Now you tell me how in the hell you get Yahuwah from this. Now you could, I'll tell you how you get Yahuwah. You take this and then you put a here and a U here and a here. Yahuwah. Yeah, you say something like that, except for you have to know a little bit about Hebrew and know that this is not possible because this vowel sound does not exist in Hebrew before the certain time where they introduced the thing called matrix lectionis. This sound was not there. So you can't say who. There's no who in Hebrew. Everything is a short A sound. So Yah-ha-wah has to be. Okay. Now, read again that part, brother. I wanted to get you. I was asking for another example of Salakia.
Right? Come on, sir.
That's what I wanted. Give me an example. We talked about it not last week because I wasn't here the week before. translation. I got one for you. One moment. One, okay. Here's just a quick example without having to write it down. Who ever heard of the Holy Ghost? You ever heard the phrase Holy Ghost before? Right. Now we know that that's a misnomer. We learned it in class the week before last, right? That ghost suggests the original word ghost meant an apparition. It literally means a dead person who appears as an apparition. So Holy Ghost doesn't make sense. It's impossible to have a Holy Ghost because what does the word holy mean? Set apart. So you got a set apart dead person coming back to life? That doesn't make any sense. And the only reason why they were able to do that is because of false translations. But if you translate it appropriately if you look at the original Hebrew word is rakah. Rakah cannot in any way, shape, or form ever mean a dead person. It doesn't mean that. It can't mean that. The proper way to translate it would be spirit. You understand? But when you go directly to the Hebrew, when you go directly to the source, you can understand it much, 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 much better. Much better. You understand? So the same thing uttered in Hebrew and translated what?
Into another tongue have not the same force in them.
Right. Go ahead.
And not only these things, but the law itself and the prophets and the rest of the books have no small difference when they are spoken in their own language.
Because it's just a linguistic fact that when you transfer meaning between languages, it's difficult because all languages don't share the same words, the same meaning. There are some, I think I read one time that, for example, in English, how many words for love is there? One, love, right? There's other languages where they have 8 different words to describe love. Where if in English you say, I love my mom, you also say, I love my daughter. You say, I love my wife. I love my husband. You say, I love basketball. I love my car. Man, I love these boots. You know, things like that. And all in English, all of that makes sense. But if you go to another language and use the wrong word to describe your relationship with your car, people will look at you like, what is he talking about? Or you use the wrong word to describe your relationship with your daughter or your mother. It would be like, whoa, what? But we got in America, we have a disgusting thing called Valentine's Day, a disgusting holiday that's nonsense and it's not in the Bible. Yeah, brother, please.
An example, like in I think it's in Greek language, they have different levels of love, different like they got this word called agape love,
right?
Which was at one point the highest form of love, which was love between a man and a boy.
Oh boy,
yeah,
damn.
So they have like I'm just using that.
No,
as
I got
example,
you. I know what you mean.
But they have different words for love that means different things.
That means different things for different contexts.
Right?
So the same problem arises with other languages. In Hebrew, there's certain words that, you know, that mean a very specific type of thing, very specific way we use that word, which can, and as we've seen in our classes, it can confuse you if you don't study and stay on top of these things. So that's why that's so important. Finish out the scripture, bro.
But the law itself and the prophets and the rest of the books have no small difference when they are spoken in their own language.
No small difference. You got to speak it in your own language. That is very, very important. Okay, that's how we learn. That's how we utilize this appropriately. So for today, we actually already went into a few things. But here's what we'll do. I did say I wanted to get the seven heads. Let's do the 7 heads today too. So we'll do a review. We'll do alphabet review. Alphabet review. We'll do also we'll get a couple of some words, some vocabulary. Vocabulary. Well, words are vocabulary, so I'm just being redundant. Vocabulary. 7 heads. Just a little bit of history. If we have time, I'll throw something else in there, but let's just stick with this for now. So let's use this as an example. How familiar are you with the alphabet? I know you kind of somewhat new to it. Have you been studying? No sweat, not a problem, not a problem. So here's what we'll do. Let's I'll erase these two. We don't need to know the meanings of them. Well, actually, it's nice to know the meanings, so I'll leave them. I'll leave the meanings up there. And we're just gonna get a couple of quick examples. We may not do them all, but what I want to show is how we utilize the Hebrew. So actually, you know what? This is what I'll do. I'm gonna erase the bottom part. All right, I'm just gonna erase the bottom, and we'll use some of these top ones to show it. All right, so everybody got these? Cool. Yeah, bro. We have some if we got it, if not, no sweat. Most High in Christ. Word. I think I got one in my car actually. Yeah, I might bring that in. I actually didn't want you to erase that, but it's no sweat. It's all good. No, it's all good. We just start from scratch and we'll just go straight into the alphabet review. It probably was better for us to do it that way anyway. And we'll use both sides of the board. Okay. Most High in Christ. And if we can if we gotta need like not napkins, but like paper towels so we can dry it a little bit. Kind of take your time. Take your time. All right. In the meantime, I'm just gonna explain something a little bit. Why there's 2 different forms of the language. Let's talk about that. So I wish I could bring. Matter of fact, that's exactly what I'll do. I'll use my phone. Hey, Shalom, we got our brother Justin checking in from Raleigh. Shalom. How about Shemel Shapaka? What's going on? Let me get this out of the way so y'all can see the board clear. Okay, that should help. Right. So I'm gonna actually show this this little sign we have right here before we're gonna write them out. I'm gonna show this first. The water. No sweat. All right, hold up. There we go. All right, Most High in Christ. So can y'all should be able to see. Oh, let me turn this down. Oh, let me turn my mic off. Okay, there we go. So y'all should be able to see on your right side this kind of this thing we have on the wall, this alphabet we have on the wall. You understand? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a review of this, and I'm gonna show you why there's two different ones, why there's two different alphabets if you're not familiar with it. You understand? So the top one at the top, you'll see it says the ancient Hebrew, right? The ancient Hebrew language. And underneath you'll see the Assyrian Hebrew language, right? Now you might say, well, why is there two of them? Are they different languages? That's really the main question, is are they different languages? It might throw you off because you see the word language in both. The answer is no, they are not two different languages. They're not two different languages. What they are is two different writing systems. That's all. You know what I'm saying? There's two different writing systems. It's no different than trying to think of a good example, maybe one that's not related to language. Where one thing is the same as something else, is just shown different. You know what I'm saying? I can't particularly think of a good example right now that would parallel to this, but just to suffice to say that these letters correspond exactly with these letters. Matter of fact, look at the definition of language, Yanazar. If you could, look at the definition of language. Right? It's not a different language, it's just a different writing system, right? And I'm going to show you on the board, right? We're going to write all of this out, get an understanding of how to utilize it, right? And we'll see that we're not saying something different. We're not saying something different. You understand? So if you go look at the board, right? If I was to write my name is officer, right? Which is the word for officer is what? Yanazar Quatazar, correct? Quatazar, right? This is of course the transliteration, right? Quatazar. Now, how do I write this word in ancient Hebrew? I write a qua. I write a ta. Oh no, because it's tazah, Salakia. Quatazun. There we go. Quatazun. My bad. So I'm gonna write a qua. I'm gonna write a tazah, and I'm gonna write a na. Okay. Qua. Tazah. Quatazun. Quatazun. Now, if I then write if I write this in ancient Hebrew, right? I wrote ancient Hebrew. What is this? It's a transliteration of Hebrew, right? Is this English? No. Why is it not English? Exactly. Because of the sound. There is no corresponding word that sounds like this in English. This is not an English word. It's not an English word any more than, as we always say, saying Chan in Jackie Chan, Jet Li, Dikembe Mutombo. What does the word Dikembe mean in English? Right, because it doesn't exist. Mutombo doesn't mean anything in English. Those are whatever the heck mumbo jumbo African place he's from, Ghana or wherever the hell he's from. It's words in those language. But if I write Dikembe in English, it's only for the purpose of allowing us to be able to say it. Antetokounmpo. That ain't English. It's Greek or whatever the hell he is. Right? But you write it out on the back of his jersey in what? in English letters. If you were to write Antetokounmpo, man, I'm gonna look that up. We did the week before with Putin, right? And it looked crazy. Let's see how to write Antetokounmpo in Greek. Let's see what that would look like. Oh my God, this is the most ridiculous. Antetokounmpo in Greek. Let's see if we can find it written out. Nah. Can't find it. No sweat. Not a problem. But yeah, the point being that this, and then we'll write this one. I always mess that up. It's Tazah. It's not Ta and Azah. It's Tazah. Slakia. Quatazun. This is all what? It's all the same sound. It's all, therefore it's all the what? Which is all the what? This is all the same. There we go. This is all the same language, because even though you're using English letters to make the sound, this is not an English word. Even, did we get the definition of language? Come, Most High in Christ. Even though you're using, now this is the correct writing system that matches the language. So this is, you know what I'm saying, this is Hebrew. These letters aren't Hebrew. This word is Hebrew. These letters are Hebrew, and the word is Hebrew. These letters are a different form of Hebrew that's really not Hebrew. It's really Assyrian, but it's utilized more closely because in our history, we've been using it for some time, right? Or it's been used for some time, right? But all of these are the same Hebrew word. They mean the same thing, okay? So give me a definition of language, Yanazor.
The definition of the word language, 1A. The words, their pronunciations, and the methods of combining them used and understood by a community.
Mm-hmm.
Verse number 2. A systematic means of communication, of communicating ideas or feelings by the use of conventionalized signs, sounds, gestures, or marks having understood meanings.
Understood what?
Meanings.
Understood meanings. Language is mostly about meaning.
One more, sir.
Go ahead, please.
Audible, articulate, meaningful sound as produced by the actions of vocal organs.
Sound. Meaning and sound. Right? That's the keys to language. Meaning and sound. What does this word mean? Quatazun. And give me the translation of how would you say this word in English? What is the meaning of this word?
The meaning of that word is officer.
Right. What is the meaning of this word?
Officer.
What's the meaning of this word?
Officer.
Simple. Okay. Saying all of that to get you to understand, because that throws some brothers off. The only reason the Assyrian Hebrew is a thing is because we went into captivity under the Assyrians. And as you know, when you go into captivity under somebody, even if you don't make a valiant effort to, you end up adopting what? Their ways. You end up adopting their culture. You end up adopting their language. How do I know?
Wherever we was in the Bible, we adopted whoever was oppressing us.
Sure, but give me an example of today.
Okay, when Hispanic people come to America, they adopt English.
Give me an example of right now. Read my mind.
Of right now?
Right now.
Us in this classroom.
Give him, bro. Give that man a hand. That's it. In this classroom, y'all. Do y'all understand what I'm saying right now? Y'all understand me clear, right? Am I speaking my language? Am I speaking a language that any black person would have understood 2,000 years ago? But yet we all understand each other in this room. If I tell any of y'all to write your names, you can write your name, right? Most of us have, all of us have a slave name. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we in the truth when we get our new names, but when we got to sign a document at the DMV, or when we got to, you know what I'm saying, do different things, we still got a slave name. You know what I'm saying? On my mother's side, my mother's last name is McClary. It's like Scottish or Irish or something. You understand? She ain't Scottish. And she damn sure ain't Irish. You understand what I'm saying? But you adopt the culture of the people who have you in captivity, because that's how this works. That's how captivity works. That's how conquest works. You understand? There was a time when the predominant language on earth was what? Hebrew. There was a time when that was the predominant language. It was short-lived, but there was a time when that was the predominant. I mean, if we go way, way, way back, then yeah, for sure. You know what I'm saying? But once we're talking about, you know what I'm saying, the time of the kings, like it was a short-lived time where there was, even if you want to even call it an Israelite empire, but we was kicking ass all over the earth. There was a time when we did that. But for most of the existence of earth, we've been in captivity. We've been in captivity. And I mean, we read in the Apocrypha about how to translate, you know what I'm saying, paraphrasing, to translate from one language to another, from Hebrew to the next language, doesn't have the same force. And that was when it was being translated from what? From Hebrew to Greek. When that brother is writing that part, we're now reading it in what? In English. It's the second translation. But when he wrote it, he wasn't talking about translating it to English. He was talking about translating it to what? To Greek. You understand? King James is 1600s. The brother who wrote that was Jesus. We know the real name would be Yahushua, but Jesus, right? Which is a Greek name. So we know he's translating it into Greek. This is the nature of it. So that's why we have what is called the Assyrian Hebrew. It's not a different language, okay? It's still Hebrew, okay? This is Hebrew and this is Hebrew, but this is ancient Hebrew. This is real Hebrew. This is our Hebrew, okay? This is a borrowed writing system that's a lot older than what we have now. That's all. It's older than English. It's older than everything else they got. So we know this to be safe, just so that way, see, most things we read, you're not going to find a lot of things in ancient Hebrew. Like the brother said, Yanazar always points it out, because that's the historian. He points out this died. This was straight up dead. 300 years after Christ is pretty much dead now. The only place you're going to see this is in Isupk in the convention. That's the only place you're going to see this at all. This right here, fake Israelite groups have this in their schools. They got that piece of paper in your hand. Fake Israelite groups have one in their school, and at the top of it, it says Israelite School UPK. We've been teaching this since 1969. Like we've been doing this since doing this, right? But you're not going to find that everywhere. Even when you read a Tanakh, as we do, you see that. See what it says? You see that? Right? What's that say? Tawara, right? What's it say? Banaya Yum. Let's say Kathawabium, right? Whatever that means. I'm not too sure what that exact phrase means, but that's what that says, right? But yeah, if you look at the words in here, you will see it's entirely written in what is called Syrian Hebrew. Syrian. And in the Sabbath service, this is what we read. You know what I'm saying? What we got here? Ashar, Yakora Yabwa, right? Mamana, Quaraban, La Yahweh, Kal Ashar Yathun. We read this. But what did I just read? What did I just say? When I pick this up and I go, Nara, Yahaya, Hashakwal, right? Id, Bakawar, Ashar, Yabakar, La Yahweh. What am I reading? What am I reading?
You read in Hebrew.
I'm reading Hebrew. Am I reading some fake Hebrew?
No.
I'm not. Because if I give this to some cat whose name is Cohen, right, and tell him to read this, you know what he's going to say? He's going to say, Lacham, Eth, Kadesh. He's going to say a bunch of nonsense. He's going to say Lachaim and Bat Mitzvah and all of this. And Mazel Tov, Yahuv, Yehudi. That's what he's going to say when he reads this. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying none of that. Because that's not what this says. This does not say that at all. This does not say Yehudi. You know what I'm saying? That's not Hebrew. It's not the symbols that make it Hebrew alone. It's the sound. So when I read this and I say Ashar, that's Hebrew. But if you say something else, then you just speaking another language and using the symbols. All right? Most High in Christ. Now, with that being said, I'm going to employ my main man, Yanazar, if you could, that wonderful penmanship that you have. And let me get both the ancient and the Assyrian on both sides. Once you do the ancient on this side first, Bob Kusha, then do the Assyrian here. Once you get done with the ancient, we're going to go ahead and start reading that out loud to familiarize ourselves with the phonetics. What does it sound like? How do we say these words? Right? It's right here. My bad. I thought I handed the right one to you. Yeah, no sweat. Now, as I was saying about this language, if you could pause, sticking that up a little bit, looking a little thin, yeah. They got to see it real clear at home. Okay. That's better for sure. All right. Now, what you are seeing here is the oldest, I'll use this word, practical, daily utilized form of Hebrew. We've talked about it before. Now, are these exact symbols the very, very first symbols that were used? No. They're not the very first symbols that were used, right? There were other symbols or other forms of these symbols prior, but this was the first form that could practically be used by anyone. This was the first form that could be used as an everyday writing system. You'll see it on ancient. You can go look at artifacts, right? You can go look at artifacts where this language is written on things, on like pots, right? The not the Mesha Stele, I can't remember the name of it, but you'll see this writing system on things that would not be only for royalty. You know what I'm saying? Even though really, if you think about the history of the Israelites, the concept of royalty is really foreign to us. You know what I'm saying? Now, that doesn't mean that we are royalty, but not in the sense that heathens think of royalty, right? We didn't have kings. We certainly didn't have queens. That never happened and will never happen. We never had no queens in Israel. Okay, the sisters in here and the sisters that we've always had have been princesses. You understand? A queen is, I don't even know what to describe it as. You know what I'm saying? We don't have that. Okay. But this was a pattern or a system of writing that was common. You could write it on your pots. You could write it on different things easily. The symbols that existed originally were much more complex, much more intricate, okay, and impractical. We talk about that as the progression of language. You need to have something like, imagine you writing a grocery list. If I imagine if to write instead of writing apple, I had to draw an apple. Now I got to draw this. I have to find a way to draw this perfectly so that way no one mistakes it for an orange, a peach, a grapefruit, a lemon, any other round fruit of any kind. So just drawing a picture of an apple is just not practical. It won't work. So what you're looking at is the first or the oldest practical form of the language that we can use to get these words out and make it make sense and make it very readable. Okay? And when you get done, Yanazar, let's get the transliterations under each letter. Take your time. Right? I'm gonna go ahead and get started on the ancient here. Right? So if you notice how it's written out, you want to take your attention to the upper right corner on the left side. Because in Hebrew, unlike this bastard tongue called English, we do not read it from the left to right. Most ancient languages, most older languages are read from right to left anyway. You can see the blueprint of the fact that this is the oldest language in the fact that older languages work that way. Mandarin works that way. Cantonese works that way. Sanskrit works that way. Arabic works that way. Right? But of course, more modern languages are different. If you could, Baba Kusha. What is this process that he's doing? Yanazar is doing what as we speak? Said the word a few times in class already. He's not translating, there we go, transliterating. Meaning he is taking these ancient symbols and he is providing the sound that of these symbols using a different writing system, using an English writing system. Damn right. Get that brother a hand. Because he's been doing this. No, don't feel bad, little sis. No sweat. No sweat. We're gonna run it down. Let's all do it together, all right? So we're just gonna just read it. We're gonna go nice and slow, right? And just get this pronunciations out. All right. Y'all ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Ah, ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, ha. Let's stop. All right. This symbol, this sound is not ka. It's ka. It's softer, right? Again, it'll take time. You don't want to turn it into L'chaim. You don't want to turn it into Eddie Murphy in Coming to America. You don't want to turn it into that, but it's softer than ka. It's ka. Ka. All right? Here we go. Ka, ta, ya, ka, la, ma, na, sa, I. Right? This symbol represents what? I know you know. What does this actual symbol represent? Take a guess. Maybe this will help. I can't draw, but damn right. That's literally what this symbol, this circle, represents. And we've talked about it in class before. We're not going to go all the way into that particular topic today, but each of these ancient symbols represents something, right? It's not arbitrary. It's unlike English, right? Like there's no reason why the letters represent what they represent in English. There's no reason. It's purely arbitrary. It's just whatever sound they chose. But in our language, there's a reason for every single one of these. Each one of these symbols represents the beginning of a word that represents this symbol. For example, the da represents what? What's the word and what does it represent? Mm-hmm. Right. The da comes from the word dalath, which means door. It represents the opening or the doorway of a tent. So imagine you have a tent, right? Like our Gadai brothers, our so-called Native American Indian brothers, make tents. And the doorway of the tent would be this fabric, right? Would come down and it would drape open like this. And this is the doorway of the door of the tent. Okay? And that's where this symbol comes from. It represents that. Okay? Let's finish them out and then we'll get a couple more just to round it out, right? So I'm going to keep going. Let's start from the top again. Y'all ready? Here we go. Ah, ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za. Good? A little softer. Ha. Ha. There we go. Ha. You'll get it. Ha, ta, ya, ka, la, ma, na, sa, I, pa, tza, kwa, ra, sha, ta. Okay? The symbol ra comes from the word ra'ash. Right. Ra'ash means head. Literally like the head, like of it can be literal or figurative. It could be your head on your body, or it could be meaning figuratively the beginning of something, right? Or the prominent part of something. And that symbol, this symbol, is supposed to represent a person's head. Imagine this is the neck. You've seen them from like a profile from the side. This is the neck. It's a crude way, but remember, you're trying to write fast. Like I said, this is most practical. Before this, it would look way different from that. Just like this ah symbol is supposed to represent an ox or a cow, right? The head of the cow with the horns. But there was a time when it was almost like you had to draw a cow's head in order to draw this symbol, but it wasn't practical. Because how can I draw that or write that fast if I got to write something fast? Can't do it. Okay? And I'll show my favorite one before we go into the Assyrian, and before we get into just understanding how the simple, basic way to use these letters to form Hebrew words, right? My other favorite one is the qua. What word does the word? What is the Hebrew word that the qua corresponds to? Before we even get to what the symbol is, what's the Hebrew word that it corresponds to? The qua. Not Qadash. Close. I'm gonna write it out. I want to see something, right? I want to see if the sister can get it, right? We're gonna do this together. Because it's our language, right? So, sis, how we do this, how we read, is no different than we were taught to read in English. What was the first thing you were taught when you were learning to speak words in English, to read specifically? Who remembers what we were taught back in kindergarten, first grade? Like, what's the first step? Sound it out. That's the first thing we learned, right? Which is exactly, let me tell you something, is way easier in Hebrew than it is in English. Way easier. Because there's some words in English that if you sound it out, it's like, what? Knife. How am I supposed to sound this out? Doesn't make any sense. How am I supposed to sound out words with P at the beginning, where it's, how do you sound out psychiatrist? Psychiatrist? You understand? Psalms, right? Got to read the book of Psalms, right? But yeah, it's a lot easier here. So all we're gonna do is sound it out, and we read Hebrew from which direction? Right to left. So the first thing we have to do is identify our first symbol. What's the first symbol here? Close. Damn right. That's exactly how you pronounce that symbol. Qua, right? What about this symbol? So now we're going from right to left. So we got our qua. Qua we have. Got it. Done deal. Right? What's our next symbol? Wa. Beautiful. So we got qua. We got wa. And what's our last symbol? Perfect. Sha. So is that it? Is the word qua sha? Is that it? Are we done? We got it all figured out? What you think? You'd be correct. We're not done. Right? You're correct, right? Why are we not done? That's one way to look at it, right? We haven't really focused on these. Ancient Hebrew has these things called connectors. You'll see it on your paper there at the top, right? This doesn't exist in Assyrian. So when we get to Assyrian, you'll see why brothers hate reading this, even though we have to. But in ancient, we have connectors. Give me, if Salaki Yanazar, if you could, Baba Kusha. I want you to give me the definition of a vowel and the definition of a syllable. You're really going to understand this Hebrew. I promise you. You're going to be speaking this Hebrew and it's going to be a breeze. Yanazar is going to get us a definition. Give me the definition of vowel first.
Come on, sir. The definition of vowel: one of a class of speech sounds in the articulation of which the oral part of the breath channel is not blocked.
That is the sonic form of that definition. That's telling you what vowels sound like, but that's not telling you how vowels function. That's probably going to be the next definition. We'll find out, right? The meaning, when they talk about is not blocked, it just means that with consonants, right? We learned this in English. Consonants, B, C, D, F, G, K, L. The air passageway is blocked, or another word they use is they use friction, but there's another word. Oh boy, what is that word? We'll stick with blocked for now. I can't think of the other word, bro. I'm drawing blanks today, right? But blocked. And whereas with vowels, it's not. You say A, no part of your mouth, right, causes, right, any abrupt stop, any friction, right? It doesn't block it. As in with B, your lips block the air passage. C, your teeth and your tongue. D, your tongue and the top of your palate. F, your teeth and your lips, and so on and so forth. Block the air passage to form different sounds, right? But with vowels, vowel sounds doesn't do that. A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y, right? But let's get another definition. Read on. See if we got another one.
A letter or other symbol representing a vowel, usually used in English. That's all they got at the Webster.
No problem. I always find it in this other one, the New Oxford. It's just on your if you got an iPhone and you just type in a word and you try to look for the definition, it'll go to the New Oxford Dictionary. So if I type in vowel, see it comes up New Oxford American Dictionary. I can click on it. All right. It says a speech sound. This goes back to the definition that Yanazar had, but there's a little more to this one. A speech sound which is produced by comparatively, right, open configuration of the vocal tract with vibration of the vocal cords, but without audible friction. And this is the important part, and which is the unit of the sound of a language that forms the nucleus of a syllable. The nucleus of a syllable. What does the nucleus mean? The middle part, the center of it, right? The nucleus of a syllable. This is just a fancy way of saying in English, you need vowels in order to form the syllables. So if I want to say it's I'm happy, I need how many syllables is the word happy? 2 syllables. So how many vowels do I need? 2. If I want to say I'm sad, how many syllables is the word sad? And what's the nucleus of this one syllable? This vowel. Literally, it's the nucleus of it. It's the middle. This is how you form the syllable. Okay? Now that we understand that, this is how it works in English. Specifically, it even said that in the definition that Yanazar gave. Trust me, there's a reason for all of this. Okay? Because we're trying to complete that word. That's our goal right now, is to complete this word. The sister said, what's the name of this, Lucky? Jade? Jade or Jay? Jay. Got you. Okay. So Jay said this word is not complete, and she is absolutely correct. 100% correct. The word is not Kwawasha. That is not the word. Okay. But we're like, how do we know that? How do we get to the bottom of what this actual word is? Well, this is what's going to help us understand it, right? Understanding this is going to help us understand the difference and why this works differently. Okay. And then how to actually say that. Okay. So in English, these vowel symbols, A, E, I, O, U, form the nucleus of a syllable. But in Hebrew, all of our symbols are what? Not vowels, they're a vowel, consonants. They're all consonants, right? How is that possible? How is that possible when it's ah, ba, ga? You can even hear the vowel in them. Ah, 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 ah. Because of the function. Like we said here, these are the nucleus of a syllable. Sad, happy, mad, friend, whatever English word you use. This doesn't make sense without this. If you were to write this in English, what the hell is that? That's not a word. This is not a word. This either means like, this is either like an abbreviation for San Diego or something like that, but it's not a word. But our system is like this. When you see these symbols connected to form a word, you're not looking at, there's no vowels here. Each one of these is a consonant. The vowel sounds are implied. They're there, but they're not written. We don't have a letter to make this. So writing this would be like writing, it would be like writing sad, SD, or writing mad, MD, or any other word that you can think of. Faith, it would be like writing faith, FTH, right? That's literally what you're looking at when you're looking at Hebrew. You're looking at a collection of consonants. None of these are vowels. None of them. The vowel sounds are implied, right? So when you see this qua, depending on the situation, that's what we're going to get to understand, you'll have to find out whether that implied sound, which is always a short A sound, whether it's there or not. Qua, wa, sha. As we wrote out. Qua, wa, sha. Okay, we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere, right? So now we know we don't have a written vowel system. It's just we have these consonants, and these vowel sounds are just there automatically. But then we have a situation where this may not be right, because this sisters, you said this isn't correct. I'm going to give you the final word to make it simple. The word is quawash. Quawash. That's the word. It's not quawasha. It's quawash. But how can we get to that? If we have all these implied vowel sounds, how do we have this sh by itself? This consonantal sound by itself without this ah. How do we do that? Simple. We have a thing called connectors. These things right here. So while English has A-E-I-O-U to tell you what the nucleus of the symbol, no matter what word it is, let's think of Mississippi. I know I'm spelling this wrong. Mississippi. I guess that's right. I don't know. How many syllables in Mississippi? Mississippi. 4, right? How many vowels? Mississippi. 4 vowels to represent, to create the 4 syllables. We need to create, how many syllables is the word quawash? 2. It's 3 letters, but it's 2 syllables. So in order to do that, we have got to have something that shows us there's only 2 syllables. And what we have is these connectors. And what they do, so you'll see one that looks like this, and one that looks like this. When you see this that looks like kind of like a frown, under a singular letter, it tells you that this letter carries its own syllable. It's its own syllable, meaning it carries that vowel sound with it. It's not a vowel. The symbol's not a vowel, but that implied sound, that implied vowel sound is there. It's there by itself. Qua. Where we at? Qua. By itself, qua. You're going to pronounce it that way. But when you see the kind of smile symbol, you'll always see it in between two symbols. Never under one syllable. Under one symbol. Salakia. Under one symbol. You'll see it under two. What do you think that denotes? Right? You're right. That's absolutely correct. But give me a good way to put it based on what we've been talking about. What does it do to those two symbols? It makes those two symbols into one what? One what? This is its own what? His own what? This letter, because of this, we know that this is by itself as a what? You got to get the word. In English, like we do with Mississippi, these vowels, A, E, I, O, U, are the nucleus of what? Pronounce what though? They're the vowels are the nucleus or the center of Mississippi. That's for what? Syllables. So this symbol tells us that this symbol by itself represents one what? One syllable. Now this symbol takes two symbols. Excuse me, let me not confuse you. This connector takes two letters and tells you they form how many syllables? No, because that would be 1, 2, 3 syllables. It would be qua, wa, sha. But we need 2 syllables. Qua, wash. So what does this do to, you got 2 letters, but it turns them into, say it. One what? One what? Not symbol. The other word. Other S word. You said it before. There we go. My bad. I might have misheard you. Right. 1 syllable. Give her a hand. Damn right. That's it. 1 syllable. It eliminates this last one. Hold on, what I do? Yeah. It eliminates this and makes these 2 letters into 1 syllable. Qua is by itself. And then these 2, wa and sha, form 1 syllable. Wash. You understand? Okay. Now we getting it. Right? And this word means what? Who knows what the word wash means? Like I said, each of these symbols represents an actual thing. Go ahead, Yanazar. The snare, the trap. I always show this picture because it's one of my favorite things. When I first seen it, I was like, yo, that's bugged out. That's bugged out. So the word wash means a snare. Think of it like a trap, right? Like a bear trap or something. This is a snare. But this is what it comes from. It literally comes from this. Just a moment. Here we go. This is a picture of an 8,000-year-old mouse trap. Right, exactly. It's just turned sideways. But yeah, but if you turn it right side up, it's the same symbol. That's what it is. It's a mouse trap. It's an ancient mouse trap. Right? See how it all makes sense? In the Christian church, it wasn't like this. Things didn't make sense like this. Okay? Most High in Christ. Let's get one more example, or maybe 2 more examples in the ancient before we move on to the Assyrian, right? These connectors, man, it's so important to understand. These are the basics, but man, I'm telling you, this is the groundwork by which you will understand Hebrew. You'll get it. It all makes sense. So another word is the word mayum, which means water. Okay? I kind of just gave it to you. I use a different one now because I gave you the whole word and how to say it. All right, the word for I won't tell you. I'm just going to write it. This symbol, but there's a whole word. Now, what I want is I want someone to give me the transliteration. I want you to take this ancient thousands of year old letters that I just wrote on this board that you can only find on ancient artifacts, and I want you to turn it into a word written out in English letters, just like we just did a second ago with the word Quawash, right? Or the word Qadash we used earlier, or Lashawan, or whatever. I want you to write it out in English to convert this into English letters. Yeah. Who's up for it? I want to give this. I know Yanazar can do it now. Yanazar, I'm gonna let you do it, right? But I want to see it. You don't want to see the sister that wants to give it a go. She just learned. She just learned. She's speaking ancient Hebrew already in all of what she's been there. What, an hour and a half? Already speaking ancient Hebrew. Already writing it down. So I want to give her an opportunity because, sis, if you can translate that into an English or written out, better not into English word, but written out in English letters, you just became smarter than like 95% of the planet Earth. All from coming to you've been in class. I don't want to do like that, but coming to one Hebrew class. Go. Most I give her a hand. All right, sis. Let me help you out, sis. Write exactly what each of those symbols. When you transliterate it, you're just taking the transliteration of each symbol and connecting it. So the first letter is I, right? What's under the I? It's right there, right? But what's under it? That's what it is. Now I'll be impressed. Hold on, not quite yet. That's exceptional. Or is that your final answer? Look at what we just learned from the previous word and look at that ancient Hebrew word right there. Look at everything connected to it. No sweat. Okay. Get a sister hand. Hand right. I got you. Let me help you you out. Excellent work, because of course the I is an I, and the Ya is a Ya, and the Na is, where's it at? Is a Na. That's correct. But we have these connectors. Each connector, think of each connector almost like you would think of each one of these vowels in English. Whenever you see any of them, whether it's this one or this one, it means that's a syllable. So if there's only two of these, how many syllables are there? Right. If there's three of them, no matter how, whether it could be three, it could be like this. I'm not gonna write no letters, but if you see bop, bop, bop under three Hebrew letters, it's three syllables. If you see bop, bop, bop under 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 letters, is how many syllables? It's still three syllables. As long as there's three of these, whatever combination, it's three syllables. With that being said, I, ya, na, I, ya, na is three syllables, but there's only two connectors. So then it has to be how many syllables? Two, which means which letters get knocked off, which vowel sound is getting knocked off. This is its own thing. And these two do what? They connect to form one syllable. They're one syllable. So this is it. Ayun. That is the word. That is the Hebrew word for I. Ayun. The English word for I literally comes from the Hebrew word for I. Ayun. Okay? Because the sister did so swab, we're gonna do one more. We're gonna do another one, man. We might we only got about 8 minutes left. We might just end with this and just brush up a little bit on the Syrian. Because this is excellent work. I love to see it. Let's try some more. It's wonderful, man. That's just how my personal way of looking at things. I love when things connect, they come together, and it all just makes sense so beautifully. Let's also learn a word that we use commonly. Now, it says, are you familiar with the greeting, the Hebrew greeting for sisters? We say it at the end of class. We say shalom, right? But when we salute the sisters at the end of class, we say Yahweh Shamar Alathun Bahashim Yahushua, right? We say all of that. Let's do this. Oh no, not yet, not yet, not yet. No, you good? Not yet. I got you. I want this transliterated. Remember, every letter has to be represented. You cannot skip any letter. Every letter has to be represented. Right, that's what I'm saying. You saying it, but what did you write? No. Sound it out. What does that say? Right. Now, how would you write that? Think about the one thing you have on there that makes it not say that. Hold up. Give him a hand. Damn right. That's it. That's it. Excellent. Yahweh. Right? The ha at the end is not silent. It's actually there. Right? Think of it. It's like a sound. Yahweh. Right? Four. Remember we said earlier, they're each consonants. So now if you look at it, it's got erased a little bit, but there's no sweat. If you look at it, 1, 2, 3, 4 consonants. 1, 2, 3, 4 consonants. 1, 2, 3 syllables. 1, 2, 3 vowels. Now it's not always gonna perfectly work out like that. In the case of some of these, like the Shah, right? The Shah technically has 2 consonants. If you think of it in terms of English letters, S and H are 2 consonants, right? Or the Tha, T and H are 2 consonants. So it's not always gonna work that way. Or the same thing with the Ka, right? But the point being that these consonants, because guess what? This is what is called what? Who knows what this is called? We mentioned it today. Who knows what this is called? The Y, the H, the W, and the H. The Tetragrammaton. The Tetragrammaton. That's what this is called. You'll see it written out like this. In ancient, it's written like this. In Assyrian, it's written like this. Right? And then in English, it's written like this. And it's literally written this way to reflect the fact that in Hebrew, whether it be in ancient or in Assyrian, there are no vowels. Each of these symbols just represents the consonants. Okay? But that's excellent work, sis. That's true. You just translated the ancient name of the Most High into English by yourself. Right? It's good work, right? And we can do this all day long. Any Hebrew word I give you, any Hebrew word I say, we can write it out. That means we can write out a whole sentence. We could write out a whole sentence. We won't do it, but we could. Like if I say Yahweh, if I say Yahweh Shamur Allah Thah Shem Yahweh Shah, you know how to write the first word of that. And now you also know if I write Shamar, which is the Hebrew word for guard, right? Or watch over something. If I write in ancient Hebrew, if I write Salakia, we write it over here. Let me get rid of this. Bear with me. In ancient Hebrew, if I write Shamar, right? You would, when you see this, you already know, oh, that's 2 syllables. And I know each of these symbols. So if I transliterate this, I know I'm gonna flip it because it's in ancient we read from right to left, but in English it goes from left to right. So I'm gonna write this first symbol, which is a Shah. I'm gonna write the next symbol, which is a Ma. Then I'm gonna write the last symbol, which is a Ra. Oh, but these two are connected, right? So this has to be one syllable. The only way for this to be one syllable is to get rid of that. Shamar. 2 syllables, Shamar. Right? The first, whenever you see this, the first one, but let me, we don't even confuse you. Just imagine in your head, whenever you see anything written out in Hebrew, just imagine that in between each letter is this. And guess what? There's going to be situations where it stays at the end. It's not always going to be cut off from the end, right? For example, you ever heard of the tribe of Levi, right? The tribe of Levi, if you write that word in ancient Hebrew, is written like this. Right? That's how you write it. And the connectors are not like this. These are the connectors for this particular word. That's still how many syllables? 2. But it's not like where you're going to connect the last 2. You're actually going to connect the first 2. So when we transliterate it, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to write our la, right? But we're not going to write it by ourselves because it's by itself, excuse me, because it's not by itself. We see that there's a wa. So we write the la because it's the first word. And we see this wa here. But we can see from the connector that it shares their one syllable together. So we're not going to write la wa because that's 2 syllables. No, it has to be law because this is one syllable and this is another syllable. So it's going to be actually what? Law, yeah. That's how you say Levi in Hebrew, ancient Hebrew. Okay? And we can do this all day long. And this is how we end up being able to read, to read the Hebrew by just sounding it out. Simple. We just sound it out. The unfortunate thing, before we head out, the unfortunate thing is that most of the time we're going to be reading the Assyrian. And in the Assyrian, we don't have connectors. So you won't see connectors that tell you, oh, this is Loya. My rib's name is Lawaya. Right? You might confuse it if you don't have connectors like, hey, La, Wa, Ya, or Lo, Ya, or Lawai, or how do I say it? You have to learn the words, simple and plain. You just got to get familiar with the language, learn the words, you know what I'm saying? Read until you got it. That's all you can do. Okay, we're going to get more on that next week. Hey, we didn't get as far as I wanted to go, man. We had an excellent lesson on the alphabet. I hope it helped you, sis, and I hope it helped y'all tuning in, you know what I'm saying, next week. Well, actually, next week, I ain't going to be here, and neither will Giannis are. What time are you leaving? When you leaving, huh? Can't. So I'm going to have to see if I can get another priest up in here, or I don't know, because we're going to be up in New York for the cookout. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all be there. We going back to the hood. You know what I'm saying? It's going down, not the hood, but it's going down to Marcus Garvey Park, right? Yeah. The cookout is on Sunday in Marcus Garvey Park, in the middle of Harlem. What's them streets? Giannis is from Harlem. You know what I'm saying? Original Harlem child. You know what I'm saying? Harlem in the Bronx, in the house. What streets is Marcus Garvey on? It's Most High in Christ. You know what I'm saying? I'm from Queens. I don't know what the heck he's talking about. But you know what I'm saying? Most High in Christ. We're going to be up in there. Again, the water to everybody for tuning into today's class. Again, we're going to continue next week. I do want to get to learning some more vocabulary. I had some in mind today. And we're going to get talk about the 7 heads. And we're going to get the names of the 7 generals as well. We're going to do all of that. Okay? So if there's no question, is there any questions? Since you got a question related to anything we went over today? Shalom, Adawan. What's the definition of Shamar? Shamar means to guard or to watch over, right? So in a few minutes, we're actually going to say the greeting, right? And that greeting, I'll put it right here real quick just so you can see it. All right, I'm just going to write it out, right? The greeting is this. For the sisters, it's Yahweh, which is the Most High's name. It's Yahweh. Shamur. Isle. Atha. Bahashem. Yahushua. Right? Which means the Most High, right? Most High watch over you in the name of is implied of Christ. The Most High watch over you in the name of Christ. And that's what we're saying. It's a blessing. You know what I'm saying? Most High in Christ. And so that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? With that being said, next week we're gonna keep rocking and rolling. We'll be right back, build off of what we've been talking about today and learn some new topics and some new concepts and things like that. If there's no questions in the room and if there's no questions online, I'm gonna go ahead and pass the class over to Priest and Officer 500 Yanazar.
Security announcements. We are the Isupk, started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York City, under Commandant General Yohana. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or a sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. After 6 months, if a brother or a sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or a sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers 18 and 21 and Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 through 10. Means 10th in the Hebrew and is pronounced ma'ashara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming Holy Convocation. Okay, Sunday, September 25th, we're going to have the memorial of the blowing of the trumpets in Fayetteville, North Carolina. All Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are invited, of course. Remind Akim and Akwatiam to check on social media such as isubk.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for ISUBK events and material. If a brother wants to come into the school, or if your brother wants to be a trooper in the school, Salakia, then he has to start wearing all black, which includes black boots, shirt, pants, headband, or scarf. And with that, brothers, men of Israel, Khan. So, imagine now Akadam, which means turn and face the east. Come on, Khan, sir. This is the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabashamayim, Qadash, Haya, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakwaka, Taba'a, Ratazayaka, Haya, Aisha, Ba'aratazar, Kawa, Haya, Bashamayim, Nathan Lanawa, Lakam, Kal, Yawum, Wasalak Nawa, Kabawath Nawa, Kasalak Nawa, Kabawath Yanawa, Wala'ah, Tabi'aya Nawa, Banasaya 1, Abol, Hawashaya Nawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwith, Waha'ala, Wahathraparith, La'Iwalumium, Aman. In the English, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. So be it. Men of Israel, turn it, Salaki, sir. Men of Israel, we give one courtesy salute to the teacher. Men of Israel, Imajim Shabbat. Imajim Barak. Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai B'Rakta. Imajim Atah. Imajim, which means to stand. Men of Israel, we give one courtesy salute to the sister. Men of Israel, Imajim Shabbat. Imajim Barak. Yahweh Shamar Alathah Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai. Okay. Yabjabatah, which means hands down.